to win the Big Ten Conference. They're also, for the most part, healthy because they've had a week off. And let me give you a staggering figure. When Michigan has a week off, you can go back for the entire century. Only 4 times have they lost that next week. Well, it kind of appears as though the deck might be stacked against Northwestern just a little bit. And when you look at their schedule, you just say, wow, Michigan tonight, Ohio State next week. Then they have Michigan State, Purdue, and Penn State left to play. But I can tell you, this is a hardy bunch of Wildcats. They don't back down from anybody. They say, bring on all challengers. And one other thing to remind you, Lloyd Carr, I promise you, made this talk in the locker room. We will not take Northwestern lightly. 2 years ago tonight, they played down here. Michigan led it 16-0 going into the 4th quarter, and Northwestern came back and scored 17 unanswered points to defeat the Wolverines for the 2nd consecutive year. The Maize and Blue, they will not take Northwestern lightly tonight. Mike Gottfried and Adrian Carson are standing by. Right now, let's go back to the studio. It is Larry Beal, Michigan and Northwestern on deck. Larry?
Thanks very much, Ron. We'll be here all night long, keeping you up to date on scores and highlights from around the country, and the game of the day has sure lived up to its billing. Oregon and UCLA Pac-10 unbeatens coming down the stretch in a frantic finish. Cade McNown to Danny Farmer, the bomb, 60 yards to snap a 31-31 tie. In the final moments, the Ducks are not trying to drive, but UCLA clinging to a 7-point lead. Oklahoma State and Kansas State. It's a final. Michael Bishop threw for 3, ran for 1 in a 32-point K-State victory. Another wild one, Virginia and Georgia Tech. Cavs were up 21 points. Back come the Yellow Jackets. Joe Hamilton to Des White. Also in this game, the Yellow Jackets set an NCAA record. 5th game in a row. They've returned a fumble for a touchdown. Final moments there. Georgia Tech leading 41-38. Clemson and Florida State. They're in progress, and the Noles leading that one early. Dwayne Bates hoping to keep the Wolverines secondary busy. Kickoff when we come back.
You can see at Ryan Field in Evanston, Illinois, the rains continue to fall. The tarp has been on the field, but in the last hour, we have had a lot of moisture come down. And for Lloyd Carr and the Michigan Wolverines, although, as I mentioned a moment ago, they kind of righted things, he still has not been a happy camper because he said too many turnovers, too many mistakes, and if they're going to win this conference, they have to get that taken care of. Mike Gottfried joins me on the telecast as usual. I was surprised they came out of the box at 0-2, but they still got some very good things going for themselves, Mike.
Ron, Lloyd Carr said this week, we want to run the ball better. He sent a message to his football team. A wet field tonight, it's raining. The advantage could be Michigan's. They average in the offensive line 6'5", 290 pounds. They're averaging 4.7 yards per rush. So the rushing team has a distinct advantage in wet weather, but also the team that turns it over is going to lose this football game.
That's right. Gary Barnett and his Northwestern Wildcats, they've been the toast of the town until this year. And I know the injuries have been staggering, but for people around the country that don't follow this program that closely, they've said, what's happened to them? What has happened, Mike?
Ron, a young football team. You look at all 4 of Gary Barnett's quarterbacks, 2 freshmen, 2 redshirt freshmen. They're very young in the offensive line. Their playmakers, Dwayne Bates, the wide receiver. Gary Barnett has to figure a way to get him the football. The key tonight, Gary Barnett players believe they can beat Michigan. So we'll see, Ron.
Gary Barnett, his 7th season at Northwestern, and you can see his numbers. He is 50% against the Wolverines. I think that Michigan has made a very smart move here because they won the toss, but they took the wind, and the wind has been formidable. Anderson returns the opening kickoff, and he's going to be just shy of the 25-yard line.
Got number 28, Anthony Jordan. First and 10 Northwestern at their own 25-yard line.
So let's take a look at the starting lineups for the Northwestern Wildcats, and this is the way they open it. Gavin Hoffman, he'll have Brown and Anderson, who just returned that kick behind him. At the receivers, Dwayne Bates, as Mike said, he's the go-to guy. The offensive line, here's where they've had to plug a lot of holes. Kimberly is playing tonight. He has a severely injured knee. We'll keep an eye on him. First play from scrimmage, and just to make the exchange from center to quarterback is some kind of feat tonight, as Anderson is tackled by Renus. Defensively for the Michigan Wolverines, this is the way they open up. That front three, Renus, we just talked about him making the opening tackle, flanked by Fizel and Wilson. The linebackers, active group, look for Sam Sword, number 93. He leads the team in individual and total tackles. And in the secondary, it is Whitley, Weathers, Hendricks, and Dwayne Patman at strong safety. Bennett in motion. You see the blitz coming from the offside, and they throw the ball immediately to Bennett. Pass complete, still fighting his way, and Whitley trying to bring him down. They finally do about a yard short of the first down. And let's check in on the sideline with Adrian Karsten.
Ron, the field tarpaulin has been on the surface here since before sunrise this morning, was taken off about 90 minutes ago, just as the heaviest rains arrived here in Evanston. The field is now saturated, and the footing is toughest from the hash marks out to the sideline. Now, Michigan cut their pregame warm-up short. They went in only after about 20 minutes, while Northwestern stayed out, went through their pregame paces as scheduled. So the question becomes down to the first couple of series, who has the advantage? Warmer and drier Michigan or Northwestern, who stayed out here with wet uniforms and practiced with wet footballs?
Now they go with the running play, and you see there's an opening for Anderson, and he will have the Northwestern first down as Gold will make the stop.
Ron, this becomes a field position football game. The field's muddy, it's wet, and I'm sure from the hashes to the sideline, it's probably not a good position to cut. I noticed on the first play the Northwestern threw the football, a defensive back from Michigan slipped. So you can get some big plays in the passing game.
Like this, for the most part, though, don't you cut down everything as far as your routes?
Try to shorten everything up again. It becomes a game of turnovers in weather like this.
Hoffman sets deep in the pocket, drills his pass. Boy, his tight end, Stewart, had a step, but he overthrew him.
And that's what happens as a quarterback. Sometimes you cup the ball a little bit more and you try to push it a little bit in rainy weather. The officials will try to keep it dry. The umpire has a towel. He'll keep the towel over the ball as long as he can, but it's still going to be a wet football.
We have heard some forecast for the area, not necessarily for Evanston, because Chicago obviously is a very big place, but some extremely strong winds in the area and more rain. Miller and Anderson, the two setbacks. Miller is the one who's offset. He leads with the block. And Anderson tackled by Gold. As you can see, Gold lost his headgear. Junior out of Belleville, Michigan.
This Michigan football team defensively coming along. And again, they had the open date week to put in a lot of new wrinkles for this Northwestern team on both offense and defense.
Mike, they are basically just that, though, a very basic football team, aren't they? I mean, that's the way their head coaches always coach.
They're a run football team, play action passing. On defense, they like to move their front quite a bit.
Third down and 8. The line to make is up at the 47. You see the counterplay and hit in the backfield. Anderson cannot make it go. That is a nice open field tackle by Gold, who already has 3 tackles in the early going.
This is a defensive field, Ron, because everything slows down, so the defensive players enjoy a little bit more of the ball game playing in this kind of football weather.
Formation for Northwestern, number 42, J.J. Sandring. He's for Michigan, number 85.
Sandring waits to get his first kick away. You can see his average and his longest.
He had trouble in warm-ups, Ron. He slipped a couple times.
Marcus Knight, the deep man, and he has dropped off to around the 20. Now, kicking into this win, I would be amazed if he could get it that far. Nice kick, though. Very nice kick. Knight at the 19-yard line. Very returnable, and you see he scores. And then the tackle is made in the open field at the 25-yard line. So it's 41 yards in the kick and 7 on the return. So it gives us an opportunity to identify the Wolverines offensively. Brady, of course, the youngster out of San Mateo, gets the starting quarterback. Shea and Clarence Williams behind him. 2 minutes the tight end. Knight and Streets, the wide receivers, and up front with the offensive line. Solid group, particularly John Jansen out of Clawson, Michigan. He is a veteran who has earned his stripes. Very good offensive tackle. Brady, play action. Sets, goes to the far sideline. couldn't hold on at the 38 tie streaks, and Michigan may have surprised them there by going downtown to the very first shot in this weather.
That is a good call. You know, try to, on first down, everybody thinks you're going to run the football, play action pass. Tom Brady rolls out to the right, tries to get the ball to Ty Streets, just deflected at the very end. Good play fake by Tom Brady.
Wilkerson is the man who makes this play. And you
just gets his right hand in there.
Just got in there, you're right. But you see the long slide after they come down. This field is going to tear up very quickly. That's a shame because the groundskeepers have done a wonderful job. Running play. Williams breaks the first tackle, then is going to be stopped at around the 30-yard line. Defensively for Northwestern, this is the way they start. Missouri, Dyra, Hodge, and Schmidt. The linebackers, Emmerich, Kevin Buck, and Barry Gardner. Keep an eye for 55. He is all over the place. Blackman Jones, Mike Nelson Jr., and Fred Wilkerson making up the secondary for Northwestern. So it's third down, and Michigan, to keep this drive going, needs to take it to the 36.
Ron, out of this formation, they like a little play pass over the middle.
Brady, all kinds of time, and now he's going to be tackled. Not a sack, but they will get him after a gain of a half-yard, and Northwestern will force the punt. Schmidt is the man who got it.
Ron, on that pass play, when they stand the tight end Jeremy Tuman up, like Iowa's tight ends, they like a little pick over the middle of the football field. Northwestern read it.
For the first time this year, Dwayne Bates, they're going to use him as a kick return.
Trying to get the ball in his hands.
Any and every time they can. He is the big play guy. Burden to punt it away. Waits for the snap at the 16. Vincent, I beg your pardon. Good high coverage kick. Boy, Bates all the way back to the 17. Hit immediately. Breaks off that tackle. And Bates will bring it to the 26-yard line. 52 yards on the kick and 9 on the return, and there is a marker down back at the line of scrimmage. And if this is against Michigan, I have a feeling Barnett is going to say, let's make them do this again.
With the weather like it is, make them back it up and punt it again.
It is going to be holding against Northwestern.
It's going to be a first down.
You bet it is.
Holding on the defense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
What happens, Ron, a lot of times you'll have a hold-up, and that's what it's called, a hold-up, but you don't want them to hold. And watch right in here, number 43, right here is going to get the holding call from Northwestern. Preston Letts.
See, we've already hit my pet peeve. You've already told the nation. Gary Barnett's still trying to find out who they flagged on the hold, which is silly. It should have been announced with the penalty.
And that was big, Ron, because field position is so big in this ball game with a wet field and trying to get the edge early in this game.
Well, we talked about, or I mentioned off the top of the telecast, that it was smart, I thought, whoever won the toss, that they would take and put the wind to their back in this first quarter. Because if these gusting winds do come that they're predicting, then you could just make somebody sit down deep, get a turnover, get the ball in a cheap position. But Northwestern certainly didn't need this. Running play, hit at the line of scrimmage. Williams has maybe a yard, and that's it. And let's check in with Larry Beal. Larry?
All right, Ron, fourth quarter. Pac-10 unbeatens. UCLA and Oregon. Akili Smith needs a touchdown. Complete to Damon Griffin. We're tied at 38. UCLA sets up a chip shot field goal. Chris Saylor misses from 21 yards, 38-38, in overtime now.
Well, they are no lame ducks this year, I can tell you. Pitch to Williams, fumbles the football, and does the smart thing. Just goes back and recovers it at the 34. Dwayne, Missouri was all over him quickly.
Ron, Michigan will set their tailback back 7-8 yards, and the toss is going to go back for Tom Brady. Soft toss, and just the ball was so wet, he was trying to tuck it away, and Clarence Williams lost it out the back end.
He did. He was tucking that thing to put it under his arm.
He had it the whole way.
And it just popped out of there. And this was the point we were making. They had this field covered until just about an hour before the kids came out. And we walked on the field yesterday before they put the tarp on. It was in marvelous shape, but so much rain. I would say at least over 2 inches fell in that hour, that it's impossible for the conditions now not to be very bad. Brady sets at the 25, going long, and almost intercepted. Nice job by Fred Wilkerson. He had the inside. He would not relinquish it to Johnson, and almost came up with a pickoff. And again, the defense for the Wildcats comes up big.
Yeah, and then 4 wide receivers. Michigan trying a vertical route where everybody takes off down the football field. Fred Wilkerson played that very, very well.
Well, Benson had a 52-yard punt just a moment ago. Mike, let's see if he can duplicate that. That's a heck of a feat in this kind of rain and soggy conditions. Again, it's Bates back deep. Well, the personal protector almost got knocked into the punter. This another dandy kick, and a flag is down. They didn't give him the 2 yards. He was tackled immediately, but he was not given the space that he is deserved to have, and Howard is the man who is going to be flagged. 49 yards in the kick, -2 on the return. But like I said, you got to give him the 2-yard breathing room, and they did not.
Interference with the opportunity to catch. Violation of the 2-yard zone. 5-yard penalty. First down.
I like that. Now, see, that's a total explanation. And our explanation is there is a break in the action. 9:16 left, opening quarter. Right back.
I should have listened to my mother.
Ball is brought to you by the new 1999 TL Luxury Performance Pick 2. And by Sonic, America's Drive-In, where we invite you to drive in for a change. Well, we're back, and of course, those are live shots on the sideline. Some of the most important people at this game tonight, as you look at some of the steps in the stands, all the water that's falling, are those guys who are keeping the footballs dry. Here comes the blitz by Michigan, picked up nicely by Northwestern. And as soon as Bates makes the catch, they are right there to push him out of bounds. Whitley was there.
Ron, he's such an exciting player. Talking about Dwayne Bates, 41 catches coming into tonight, 584 yards, 4 touchdowns. Gary Barnett says it's a must that we get him the football. Now, you mentioned they're putting back in punts, and they're going to try to use him different ways. He's their playmaker.
Really nice young man. We had an opportunity to visit him yesterday. Just excited about football and being able to play again. We'll talk more about his injury as the night goes on. Thrown complete. That's the tight end 10, and he's wide open, and he'll take it up close to the 50-yard line. And I mean, Northwestern caught Michigan napping on that play right there. Flow one way, and they threw back the other.
Jay Tant is going to be an actor and block, and then he releases for the pass from Gavin Huffman. They knew the blitz was coming from Michigan. They caught him in it. Jay Tant makes him pay. Just sneaks out into the flat. Ron picks up good, valuable yardage in a field position football game.
22 yards is a long play under these conditions on this field. Here comes the blitz again. Going to have to hurry. That ball's batted down, and it was Sword, Sam Sword, who came in and knocked the ball down. And Larry Beal, what do you have for us?
Rod, 6th-ranked Virginia trying to stay unbeaten, needing a 54-yard field goal from Todd Braverman to tie Georgia Tech in the final seconds. Online, but short. Virginia and Virginia Tech both fall from the ranks of the unbeaten.
Well, it gives us an opportunity to promote our game next week, Georgia Tech, and they play host to Florida State. And Mike, every time we've ever gone to Atlanta for that matchup, Georgia Tech plays them off their feet. So I think next Saturday we'll have another good one. 2nd down, 10 yards to go. Boy, Sword came very close to picking that pass off just a moment ago. 5 yards, Anderson, maybe 6. Sword holding on to him, and they're going to mark him down. Actually, that's a gain of 7 as he took it down to the Michigan 45.
And Ron, when we talked to the Northwestern players yesterday and the coaches, Damian Anderson picking up valuable yardage, they believe they can beat this Michigan football team.
Yeah.
And I don't care what their record is. When Gary Barnett came here, he said they picked a fight with Iowa, Michigan, and Wisconsin. He said, I picked it because I want my players to believe they can beat those kind of teams. And I tell you, and talking to the players, they've convinced me that they felt they could win this game.
You'll find some believers on the Michigan side after what's happened 2 years ago here and the year before that. Anderson, no place to go outside, so he will turn it back upfield. And let's see. I don't believe he got the first down. It's going to be 4th down as Gold made the stop. Now, Mike, do you just punt them back deep in their own territory?
I would. Ron, in this weather condition, I'm punting the ball all the way. I'm going to play a field position football game, looking and picking my spots to try to score.
And that's exactly what Gary Barnett is lining up to do.
Michigan playing a safe, very safe formation here.
Marcus Knight. Yeah, Michigan is not in their normal punt receive formation. They are looking for a fake. And he's going to kick it away. End over end. And it hit a Michigan player. It has been recovered by Northwestern at the 18-yard line. And that is Josh Barnes who got on the football.
I think it's Dwayne Patman had hit number 15, and you look for mistakes on a wet field, and Michigan makes the first one. Now Northwestern has to make them pay and cash in. The punt, it's going to hit number 15, Dwayne Patman. Now, Ron, the punt receiver has to make a signal. He has to yell, and the call always is, it's a standard Peter, Peter, Peter call, which tells everybody to get out of the way, but it didn't look like Dwayne Patman had any idea where that football was.
Well, I've mentioned at the Open that the coaching staff at Michigan has not been happy because of mental errors, and there's a good example right there. Gives the ball to Anderson, turns it back upfield, and anytime you can get 5 yards on first down against this defense on this field, you really have taken a stroke toward being in better position.
Yeah, Anderson came in averaging 3.6 yards per carry, 379 yards. He's the workhorse in the backfield for Northwestern. Again, we talked about this young offensive line that is Northwestern's going against a veteran defensive front of Michigan's.
Lost his footing. Well, and let's check in again with Larry Beal.
Ron, UCLA and Oregon in overtime. After stopping the Ducks, UCLA sets up Chris Saylor. He missed from 21 at the end of regulation. Oh, just squeezes it in from 23 yards out. The Bruins stay unbeaten, a wild one, 41-38 over the Ducks.
Can I ask you a question? If UCLA finishes the year undefeated, still, what kind of consideration can you move Oregon that far down when it takes overtime to beat them?
No, we had Oregon last year in the Las Vegas Bowl. We were very impressed with them.
Yeah, he has done an outstanding job up there. Third down, the line to make is the 8. And a timeout had to be called because, as you could see, the play clock had just about wound all the way down.
And the flag has been dropped. Now it's just a matter of whether they got the timeout called.
Timeout, Northwestern.
4:42 left in his opening quarter. We'll take the break with him. This is huge.
Yeah, you don't want to get sacked too far back here. You want to try to move the football and get it in the end zone for a touchdown, but don't make a big mistake here.
Empty backfield. Hoffman set, throws his pass, has it complete. Takes, tries to right his footing, and he'll take it to the 15-yard line. Now, this means it's going to be a field goal attempt of around 29 to 30 yards. Right, the right hash mark, yeah, is where it's going to be placed down. Brian Goins, the man who beat Michigan here year before last with that fourth quarter field goal, is the man who will attempt it. The ball's going to be placed down just inside the 20. We'll call it a 30-yard attempt. Now they're saying 29, okay? They did. They moved it up a yard. Good pass, and he's perfect. Right down the middle, and Northwestern goes on the scoreboard first with 3:57 left in this opening quarter. And they go on top 3-0 over the Wolverines of Michigan. In Evanston, Illinois, and the Wildcat down in the end zone, dripping not from perspiration. We've had some hot games in the early going, but it is cool and very, very rainy tonight. 4 plays, 6 yards. 29-yard field goal officially by Goins. So it means now that Michigan an opportunity to get the football and have the wind at their back for just about the next 4 minutes. Sam Schwartz talked with us on the phone among several Michigan players the other day about the meeting they had with the upperclassmen and then the entire team after falling down 0-2. And this is one of those football games where I mentioned also with the Open, they don't take Northwestern lightly because of what has happened. But right now, they seem a little shell-shocked, right?
And, Ron, he challenged the younger players because he said, we want to go out as winners, this senior class. And he said, senior classes have always had the leadership here at Michigan. We want to be the leaders.
Well, the return's going to go back to the 31-yard line, which is pretty good field position for the Wolverines to start. Next Saturday, we'll get a chance to see wide receiver Peter Warwick and the 7th-ranked Florida State Seminoles in prime time. Wrap up today's early games with residents in game day at 3. Then an evening of Southern football, 6 o'clock on the Deuce. It's Mississippi State taking on LSU, but at 7:30, Florida State is at Atlanta to take on the 25th-ranked Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets right here on ESPN. And after that win over Virginia today, you can bet that they will be higher ranked than number 25. Brady sets in the pocket, gets his tight end right up in the middle. That's Tooman, and he knocks a couple of folks down. It's going to be a gain of 9 as he takes it to the 40, and Kevin Buck with the stop on him.
Well, Jeremy Tooman, the tight end, Mike DeBoer, the offensive coordinator, said we're trying to get him more involved in the offense. This year, he's had 110 yards in reception yardage. Last year at this time, he had 249 yards. Had a great chemistry between himself and Brian Greasy last year.
I know this is a youngster, Tooman, that you've always liked.
You talked about Liberal, Kansas.
Since he was a very young player. Running play, I don't think he got it. Nice job defensively as Missouri came across. Wayne, Missouri, 6'5", 252, a junior out of San Antonio, Texas.
We talked about Michigan having that big size advantage in the offensive line, but this Northwestern defense, to this point, hasn't given them an inch in the running game.
You know, it's one of the things that Gary Barnett said to us yesterday. He said, our defense against their offense, he said, I think, you know, we got a good match right here. It's the thing, can we get our offense?
And he said we feel real good about playing Michigan in the running game.
3rd down, and they need less than a yard to pick up the first. Gets it outside, and he's got the first down and more. Farkas, who just came into the ballgame, Justin, a freshman out of Encino, California, turned the corner in the fresh legs, took advantage of the block by Aaron Shade to get the first down.
Yeah, when we talked to the coaches about Justin Farkas, he said he's as fast as Tyrone Wheatley was when we had him at Michigan. They like him. He came into the ballgame, 15 carries, 71 yards, and a touchdown, so his speed could be a factor in this football game. Looked like he was shot out of a cannon on that play.
It did.
Wet field didn't affect him at all.
No, it didn't. His footing was good, and he took off with it. If you just joined us, Wildcats lead it 3-0. Pass back to the tight end, close to another first down. This time it's Mark Campbell. Thought it was Tooman, but it's 88, senior out of Clawson, Michigan.
Good fake again by Tom Brady, the quarterback, and you know, the players respect him. We talked to the coaches about the decision of him being the starter, and he said the players really rally around him.
I thought it was funny. Brady, what did he tell us? I'm a catcher in baseball, which is unusual because I'm so tall, but I get to I'm the quarterback of the baseball team as well. He said, I like to be in the decision-making situation. Wow, what a hit behind the line of scrimmage, and Farkas goes down as Wilkerson, one of the first men to come up and make the tag. You could hear that all the way up here. And also Preston Letts, reserve linebacker.
And Ron, let's make a point here. When your corner starts to make the hit that quick at the line of scrimmage, he's not worried about a pass. He's coming up from the secondary to make that hit on Farkas, so he disregarded any pass responsibilities to stop the run.
For the senior out of Detroit, you can hear the leather sounding. Now Michigan's going to have to keep an eye on the play clock. It is at 8, now it's at 7 as they come set at the line of scrimmage. 3rd down, and again about a yard. Play clock at 2. At 1, they get it off, and the running play, they break it big, and still on his feet. Farkas all the way inside the 15-yard line. 27 yards.
There are some backs doesn't like a wet field. Now, there's some, I had Craig Hayward at the University of Pittsburgh. He liked a wet field. He was good on grass. Justin Fargas looks like he likes the wet turf. He is running a lot faster than the other running backs of Michigan. Finally, Harold Blackman takes him down.
So the deepest penetration of the night by the Wolverines of Michigan. And look at Fargas, a 9-yard average per carry. The ball just outside the 15. Counterplay. Fargas again. He gets lifted in the air this time. And it looks like Barry Gardner, yes it is, number 55, who makes the tackle for Northwestern. And here comes the rain again in sheets. Wow. We can hardly see the other side of the field right now.
And don't think those coaches, you always, as a coach, you always check the weather before you get in a ball game, because you talked about taking the wind. You know when you get the weather report of when the rain's going to come in, you want to use the best field conditions you can early in the ball game.
Yep, you do. This should be the final play of the first quarter as they get the pass to Knight, and he's going to be stopped around the 5-yard line, and the clock has run out. That is the end of the first quarter. So as we walk to the other end of the field, there's a break in the action. The Wildcats 3-0 over Michigan, and the Wolverines are threatening. We'll be right back. We were just talking during the timeout. Just because the ball is on the 5-yard line, you still have to be careful, because you can see how hard the rain is coming down. Handling the football is a chore. So again, both teams have to be careful and very diligent in their efforts. 8 plays, 62 yards so far. Straight ahead with the quarterback sneak. They'll get the first down, and it will be 1st and goal Michigan, about 3.5 yards away.
Ron, so far the difference in this football game, I believe, is Justin Fargas. He seems to have ignited Michigan's running game. He seems comfortable running in this kind of weather conditions.
Well, you're right. They seemed to step slower before he came into the lineup, but he has ignited them, and his footing, maybe also, you know, he's not a huge guy. 6'1", 185, but those short, choppy steps, he seemed to know how to do that on the wet field. For a loss, Barry Gardner. That's a loss of 4. 4th tackle by Barry Gardner in the ball game.
And he's a great story, Ron, as he scrapes off and makes this play on Fargas. But the only school that showed any interest in him was Illinois Wesleyan. He played offensive guard in high school. Walked on here at Northwestern.
Now, so you've heard this story so many times before, but he is really one of the great stories in college athletics, of a kid who not only had the heart, but found the wherewithal to make it work for himself. Northwestern jumping around on defense. Shea, the lone setback. They fake it to him. Wanted to throw a pass, and the tight end Campbell fell down. And as a result, Brady is hit by Letts and knocked down for a loss. So let's give credit as far as Brady's concerned. His receiver was not there. Adrian, what do you have for us?
Ron, terrible condition on the field because of the way the footing is right now, which is just awful from the hash marks out to the sideline. Rollout passes. Anytime Vargas tries to run anywhere besides in between the hashes, it's just not going to work. Consider the yardage he has picked up here early in the second quarter, late in the first, and what he tried to do 2 plays ago, get outside the hashes. They're going to have to keep it right in the middle of the field.
Okay, Adrian, they come to the line of scrimmage, 3rd down and goal, and the ball now at the 13-yard line, looking for the end zone, and it is knocked away on a nice defensive play by Harold Blackman.
Well, I go back to what you said earlier. When you're on the 5-yard line in this weather conditions, they end up on the 15 or 13-yard line, so now they're forced to try a field goal. Tom Brady trying to fit the ball in. Good coverage on Marcus Knight by Harold Blackman. Step for step.
So Feely will attempt the field goal the same distance, actually 1 yard longer than Northwestern hit on a moment ago. Ball is down. The kicker slipped, and did he get it? It is no good. Wide right. Feely, his plant foot went out from under him as he made contact with the football. So Northwestern and Mother Nature 3, Michigan nothing. We'll be right back. Of college football is brought to you by AXA and the Equitable. Start building your financial future today. Now you can see the amount of water coming down here in Evanston, Illinois. But some kind of defensive stand by the Wildcats, and they continue to lead it over Michigan 3-0. So they get the ball at their own 20-yard line. Keeping it safe, and this time it's Marshall who comes in. Let me show you a graphic here on that last drive, and 13 plays, almost 6 minutes used off the clock, and they come away empty. And as we showed you, Feely, the footing was not the best, and his plant foot slipped just a little, and he just pushed it right.
Good design, O'Ron, but the more you let the underdog stay with you, we talk about that, and add the weather to it, the more you get upset possibilities. But the term ball security, which everybody's using nowadays, is the most important term for Northwestern right now.
You see the blitz, and Hoffman goes down, and it was Sam Sword who came in to make the tackle, and he came virtually untouched.
Well, you talked to him, and we talked to him on the phone, and he talked about that team meeting, but he also talked about Jared Irons. He said he sat me down many times, talked to me, gave me a lot of confidence, and I'm trying to do the same thing with the younger players on our defensive football team. Lead by example, and Sam Sword's a good example.
Well, guess where he grew up? He grew up in Alabama, and he said had he stayed down there that he would have become an Auburn Tiger. That's where he thought he wanted to go to school.
He had to help their ball club this year.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, this running play is not going to go for very much. Marshall again, and very quickly, here comes the punting team on. And again, it's not one of those situations or a time where you want to get reckless and do something silly.
Now, your punter's got to be very good in a night like this. Your kicking game can help put you over the edge and win this football game, because it becomes a field position football game. Punters can change it.
Marcus Knight is the deep man as you look into the eyes of J.J. Standring. Got his hands behind him on a towel, trying to keep him dry until that ball is snapped. Driving spiral, and Knight has it at the 46 of Michigan. Not much maneuvering, and he's tackled after a return of 4. Nice job by, it's going to be Buck, Kevin Buck. 37 yards at the punt and 4 on the return.
Ron, Scott Dreisbach was the former starting quarterback for Michigan, was on special teams, and I like that attitude. He's trying to help this football team on special teams as much as he can. Here he is on the gunner on the outside, trying to keep him from getting downfield. He's been on a couple kickoffs versus Iowa, and any way he can help this football team.
This has to be very difficult for him, because like when we did the Boston College game, what, 2 years ago was it, or 3? He was the starting quarterback, and now he's listed on the depth chart as the number 3 quarterback. Brady sets deep. Got his tight end, dragging Tuman over the middle, and he's going to have a gain of close to 10 yards. Now, with what Northwestern is doing defensively, I think Michigan just might be able to do that all night long.
Well, Tuman's a player that Tom Brady's going to continue to try to go to, because, as I said earlier, that Brian Griese had a great chemistry with Jeremy Tuman, and now the Michigan coaches want that same chemistry to develop between Tom Brady and Tuman. And right now, early in this ball game, Tuman has become an active receiver on delays.
From the 40 of Northwestern, that's going to go for about 3 yards. Fargus again. He's tackled by Jeff Dyra, the senior out of Chicago, at 6'4", 290, the left defensive tackle.
You know, Brian Griese meant so much to this Michigan football team. He was electric last year, and you look at the statistics here, you compare them, and 4 touchdown passes. Of course, Griese had 17 touchdown passes, but Tom Brady in 1996, when Dreisbach won that quarterback duel over Greasy, Tom Brady went into Lloyd Carr's office and said, I'm the best quarterback. So he really has a lot of confidence. He's sat, he's waited his turn, and now it's time for Tom Brady.
Second down, you see blitz from the outside. Right over the middle is Tooman again. And Tooman will have the Michigan first down. And all of a sudden, they've solved a little bit of that Northwestern defense because back-to-back passes for first downs to the tight end.
It's all tight end delays, Ron. Tooman's just working outside, and now he'll come back underneath the linebacker. Stop, move. He's 6'5", 248 pounds, got great hands. Barry Gardner finally makes the tackle. So again, a good safe throw for Tom Brady. He's not throwing the ball down the field. He's using a short passing game to move the football.
We mentioned his numbers off the top of the telecast. You can see he is coming back into form as far as numbers and yards. And this is Shea. He's been out there blocking most of the night, and they try to change him up a little bit, let the fullback run it. Adrian Karsten, what do you have for us?
Talking about Mike's comment concerning the shorter passes, this is a decision that Michigan made after they are only out for that 20 minutes in pregame. They're going to take a step and a half, maybe even 2 steps off of all the patterns, even the ones that they're going to try and run, the routes they're trying to run outside of the hash marks. Also, both quarterbacks taking some mustard off of that ball. It's just, again, because of the weather, impossible to catch the ball otherwise.
The tight end has become the primary passing focus for Tom Brady.
Now for Gardner. In his first quarter, fumbled the snap. He gets back on it, but now all of a sudden it's third down. At about 8 yards it's going to be for the first down.
Tom Brady just doesn't get the snap. Looked like it hit maybe the back of his hand. He dropped the football. Very fortunate to recover it, but now...
What normally happens also, a lineman kicks it, particularly the center, and you have no chance of recovering.
Now, Ron, it looks like they're going to try to open up the formation a little bit with 4 wide receivers in the ball game.
Ray Jackson has come in, number 35, sophomore out of Indianapolis. He's the
He has good hands, too.
And that's who they're looking for. Jackson out in the flat. Makes the catch and gets another block close to the Michigan first down, and now here comes a flag. And
I think it's on Marcus Knight, but I'm not sure because one official watched it, didn't throw the flag, and the flag came from the back judge, but it is on Marcus Knight.
Yep, you're exactly right. And what a huge one, because Michigan would have had a third down and very short, or fourth down and very short, and now they're going to have third down and very long.
Illegal block in the back. On the offense, 10 yards from the spot of the ball. Repeat, third down.
There's the block by Marcus Knight, and here it is right here. Ray Jackson just sneaks out on a screen. Again, the short passing game by Tom Brady.
Pushes it all the way back to the 34. They need to achieve the 16 to get the first down. Right over the middle. Overthrown, and now here comes 2 flags in. Fred Wilkerson, I think, is the man that they have marked, and Johnson was the intended receiver.
Well, what Gary Barnett's saying over on the sideline, it was uncatchable football.
Exactly right. And let's see if they may pick these flags up.
I don't think so. I don't think they're going to pick it up until after they mark off some yards. Big mistake by Northwestern. You get them in long yardage situation.
Pass interference on the defense. 15 yards from the previous spot. First down.
Diallo Johnson's the wide receiver. Fred Wilkinson the secondary, and he may have arrived a little bit early.
And the thing is, even if he hadn't, that ball would still be lying out there in the mud because he would not have been able to catch that. Oh, boy, here comes the rain again.
Now let's see if they go back to Fargus or go back to trying to get the ball to Tooman.
2 penalties against both clubs. Clock says 7:23 left until halftime, and this running play for a couple. It's Shea as they bang the big fullback into the line. Jones in the tackle. Let's check in again with Larry Beal.
All right, Ron, Cal and Washington, and for the Cal Bears, a date with the Huskies is like walking into the House of Horrors. Haven't beaten the Huskies since 1976, and Joe Jarzinka says, you're not going to get us tonight. 91-yard punt return, 21-0, Washington. Wow.
So our score remains Northwestern 3 and Michigan 0, and we have just under 7 minutes to play in this first half. Trying to bounce it outside, and a nice job as he's bumped by Napoleon Harris. Got just enough of the running back that he fell forward. Maybe a gain of about a half yard on the play, and that's it.
Ron, Northwestern is doing an excellent job versus the running game of Michigan. Of course, the weather's a factor, but linebackers are uptight. The secondary's uptight. They're playing run. On the previous play, Michael Jones, the safety, was up very close on the line of scrimmage, so they're playing the run of Michigan very well.
Rushing yardage, the Wolverines 37, Northwestern 14. David Terrell, a freshman out of Richmond, Virginia. He's a speedster, number 1. Has just checked into the Michigan lineup, and we'll tell you more about it in just a moment. Stoppage in the action, 3-0, Northwestern leads. In 1991, Michigan's Desmond Howard thrilled college football fans with acrobatic catches as he toppled both the NCAA and Big Ten records. He became just the 4th wideout to win the Heisman Trophy. Now we're back, and you get a good look at the stadium. I can't believe the number of people that are out here tonight. It was going to be a sellout crowd, in fact, overflow, and is just about that. These are some hardy fans to come out and sit in these kind of conditions. Third down, the line to make for the Wolverines is the Northwestern 9-yard line. Brady, they pick up the blitz, got a crossing pattern, and he had it and then dropped it. Marcus Knight had the ball hit him in the hands, and we don't have to go into details of why, but everybody's having trouble holding on to it.
Ron, they had the route open. They were trying to get a little bit closer for this field goal attempt, and Marcus Knight just couldn't hold on. Tough weather conditions.
Mike, now where they're putting this ball down, it's going to be a 35-yard attempt, but this area of the field looks more cut up than where he tried to hit his plant foot a moment ago.
Adrian said the middle of the field's mud.
And then hit the right upright.
He couldn't get enough on it, Ron. He tried to be safe and tried to get into the kick, but he couldn't get enough leg whip on it.
So, Michigan, second short field goal attempt goes awry. Breaking the action, Wildcats by 3.
He's no damsel in distress.
Now, that was a good kick.
And he's no Prince Charming.
I got a Twinkie in the car. It's all yours if you want.
But I guess running from the cops and the mob is a...
Well, welcome back. 5:49 left until halftime. Northwestern continues to lead 3-0. And look at these last 2 drives. 22 plays, 87 yards. They've consumed just over 10 minutes. And Feely has missed 2 field goals, one from 30, the other from 35 yards. So again, the Wildcats take it over at their 20.
And Northwestern needs to change this field position and take Michigan out of those field goal ranges with a couple first downs.
Anderson gets the handoff, big opening right up the middle, and again he's close to a 5-yard gain on first down. And let's check in again with Adrian Karsten.
Ron, after the second missed field goal attempt now, Northwestern continues to believe they really can't beat the defending national champion, and here's why. A couple of the old captains from Gary Barnett's previous teams, in fact, every available captain he has had here since '92 came in Thursday, not only to talk to the team, but share the emotions, the big plays they remember. 2 years ago when they were down 16-0 going into the 4th quarter and won 17-60. Little things happen. They expect to beat Michigan. It's that belief that can really work in their favor at this point.
Well, I think you're right. On Thursday night, Adrian, we were at dinner and saw a group of those guys, and they were talking about their visits with the players. And I think that's smart on Gary's part, particularly when you've got such a young team that has suffered so many injuries. And just anything to bring that harmony, that family thing back together again.
Well, they beat Michigan, so they were talking from experience. Steve Snurr spent a lot of time, the former quarterback, with Gavin Huffman, the now quarterback.
The face mask penalty. First down and 1, and the ball just overthrown. They were trying to go on top to get it to Bates. Weathers and Hendricks combining on the stop, and I could see why Michigan would put 2 folks to give attention to Dwayne Bates, because he is the home run guy.
Well, last year in the Pigskin Classic, he was hurt. He said he learned how to deal with adversity, waited for this opportunity to play again this year. Gavin Huffman trying with 1st and 1 yard to go. He's trying to get the ball deep to Dwayne Bates, but Michigan covered it very well with Weathers and Hendricks.
So still a second down and short. That was a good call for first down and 1.
Free play.
Got one to Burns. Fumbled the snap, and now he's not going to have the first down. Hoffman probably should have just fallen on it. He picked it up and tried to move it. Now it's going to be 3rd at about 1.5 yards.
Ordinarily a free play, but in this weather conditions, you might want to pick up the first down every opportunity you get with these field conditions. But Gavin Hoffman spent a lot of time with Steve Snurr, the former quarterback, Thursday. And Thursday evening, Gary Barnett said they talked a lot about quarterbacking, and we talked to some of the other players, and they said it meant a lot for the seniors to come back because they experienced success over Michigan, and they were telling us, you go hard till you see all zeros on that time on the scoreboard.
3rd down. They still need to take it to the 30-yard line. And I'll tell you what, Mike, they have just picked up. Nope, they did call a timeout in time. I thought they were going to get a 5-yard delay penalty. So there's a commercial coming. 4:24 until halftime. Continues to lead. 4:24 left in the second quarter. And the situation, 3rd down at about 1.5 yards to keep this drive going. Jumping all over the place, and Anderson appears to have the first down, but there are 3 flags down. Now let's see if Michigan was drawn offsides or if they are in fact about to give at Northwestern their second 3rd down conversion. Preisinger was leaning.
That's big, Ron, because you need a first down. Northwestern needs to continue to change this field position.
Offside on the defense, 5-yard penalty. First down.
Well, this particular part of the field is where the entire first half has been played. You can see it's really chewed up.
In the Iowa game, Ron, Michigan had 12 penalties. They stressed working with their offense, especially on the penalties in the open date week.
Get the pass out. Throw it complete. It's going to be good for 2 yards. It's Joel Stewart. He was the man in motion on the play.
Number 27, Sean Bennett.
Bennett, I beg your pardon, 27 rather than 87 is the man who caught the pass. And they're going to say gain of 2, so a 2nd down and 8.
Well, Sean Bennett, when he comes in the ball game, he's caught 9 passes. He's a transfer from Evansville. They dropped the program. He has 1 year of eligibility left. He came here to Northwestern. He's going to graduate from the school. He's 6'2", 230 pounds, and Gary Barnett says he makes things happen.
He plays both fullback and tailback. And with all the injuries they've had, and there's movement at the line of scrimmage, looks like LaBelle came up out of his stance. That was at Brockemeyer.
Dead ball. Ball start on the offense. 5 yards. Repeat. 2nd down.
Well, the great boxing tradition has returned with ESPN 2's Friday Night Fights. This week's featured bout is Hector Camacho against Ken Signoroni. Plus boxing news, classic fight footage on Friday Night Fights each week on the Deuce.
Ron, most of this ball game has been played right in this area where we're at. They're chewing that area up, and the footing has to be bad in this area right here.
There's Bates, and he's loose. Got as much as he could and stepped out of bounds. bounds at the 29-yard line. It's good for 40 yards and the longest play of the night.
That looked like a play in the backyard because Gavin Huffman was under pressure. He just pushed the ball to Dwayne Bates. He got a nice block from Leon Brockemeyer. Got outside the Michigan defense. Quick screen. There's the block by number 67, Leon Brockemeyer. 2 blocks. Now Dwayne Bates loose in the secondary. Takes the hit.
You see the veteran player so smart. He changed arms, put it in the left side so he wouldn't get it knocked out, got what he could, and then...
When he was out of traffic, he made sure he was out of traffic. He changed the football to his outside arm.
So Bates with a 40-yard gain, and the Wildcats with a first down at the Michigan 29. All the jumping by the linebackers, offensive linemen are getting anxious.
Yeah, this is a young offensive line.
Ball start on the offense. 5 yards, repeat, first down.
And let's check in with Larry Beal. Larry?
All right, Ron, the Buick halftime report is coming up. If you haven't been watching college football today, stick around because it's been a day filled with upsets, overtime between UCLA and Oregon. The Game Day gang will join us as well from Pasadena, coming up at the half.
Larry Beal, one of the biggest upsets was Northern Illinois today, stopping the longest losing streak. Congratulations to Joe Novak and his coaching staff. They won a ball game, beat Central Michigan.
On first down at 15, Anderson not much there. Sam Sword defensively for the Wolverines. You know, as we watch this clock move down, if Northwestern does not pick up a first down here, Mike, and does not get an opportunity at a field goal, that 5-yard penalty could be huge in this football game also, because even at the 29, they were on the edge or the outside edge as far as length that you could kick it. But out here where they are right now, I think I'd punt it. You're too far.
No, you're right. I think they've got to find a way again to try to get the ball back to Dwayne Bates because he's the guy that makes things go for Northwestern.
Sword with 6 tackles. And again, Michigan is just running the linebackers up, even the safeties. And as the ball is snapped, there are too many folks to block.
Well, you've played in the backyard where you got about a 10-yard width of a field, and everybody plays to run. That's what's happening in this ball game. Secondary, the corners, the safeties, everybody's playing run because they know that both quarterbacks are hesitant to throw the ball deep.
Or to throw it at all.
Yeah.
Because
safe throws. That's what we've seen so far in this ball game. Screens, delays to the tight end.
Well, as I mentioned, one of the most difficult tasks tonight is to just make the center quarterback exchange. Here comes the cornerback on the right, up to the line of scrimmage. Drills the pass. Did he catch it or did he trap it? It is complete at the 23-yard line. That's Dwayne Bates. Now here comes the special teams on. And the next huge decision is finding a dry spot to put the ball down.
Big play, Ron, because this sets the field goal up. Dwayne Bates cradles the football. He's got both hands and arms underneath that full football and made that catch.
Goins to attempt a 40-yard field goal. Good pass. He's got the distance, and he's good. Goins twice in a pressure cooker situation with impossible conditions has knocked home a field goal.
It looked like Ron, he shortened his stride a little bit. He had a lot of pop in that football.
So with 59 seconds showing on the stadium clock, our new score is Northwestern 6 and Michigan nothing. Well, let's do a little remembering here. 2 years ago, here at Evanston, 39-yard game-winning field goal. Here's Goins, and this capped the 17-point fourth quarter. And Northwestern came from behind, upset Michigan for the second time in 2 years. And you notice that was an artificial turf. Tonight, he's kicking with near impossible conditions, and he knocked it home.
He's got a pop in his leg. I mean, he really looked like he shortened his stride a little bit and just popped that ball over. And Ron, again, you can see the belief in Northwestern, the kids' eyes, that they believe they can win this football game. When they came here, they made it a red-letter game. They put Michigan in red in the schedule, and because Gary Barnett, again, picking that fight with teams that he wanted to compete against, and he did it out of respect for Michigan, Iowa, and Wisconsin.
Now look who Michigan has put back in the deep part of their triple set. That's Fargas, who is the man who appears to be able to negotiate, or has in the first half, these wet conditions as well or better than any of the Michigan running backs. Goins to kick it off. 6-0. We had less than a minute to play until halftime. Fargas fumbles it, picks it up at the 16. And here he goes. Out across the 40 into the 43-yard line. Well, the Ultimate World Series continues on Monday night on ESPN Classic Sports Network. Now, Game 3 is from the 1975 series between Boston and Cincinnati. Game 4 features the Dodgers and the Yankees in that 10th inning adventure back in '78. And in Game 5, the '72 showdown between the Reds and the Oakland A's. All 3 games Monday night on ESPN Classic Sports. Cigar martini music there. Quick out pass, got it complete to Terrell, and then he steps out of bounds. Terrell, 6'3", 198. I mentioned a freshman out of Richmond, Virginia.
We've got a couple freshman wide receivers. Marquise Walker out of the Syracuse, New York area. They've been impressive.
Both are big, tall kids, too. Both are 6'3". One is 198, the other 185. Tom Bradley. We're back to the Northwestern side of the 50 again. Short drop, gets it out in the flat, and it's Terrell again. And they try to run him toward the sideline, and they finally do, but he's down to the 30-yard line as Michael Jones is there. Now, somebody's going to have to pay a little bit more attention to number 1.
Nice little strategy here by Michigan, because the wet fields are taking 4 wide receivers, spreading out the defense, and it looks like because of the wet conditions working against Northwestern, they're not getting any kind of pass rush on Tom Brady.
Showed us a timeout, 41 seconds until halftime. The Wildcats by 6, and the Wolverines are driving. Evanston, Illinois, Ryan Field. Rain started, actually it rained all night, and it slowed down a little bit late this afternoon. At about, 10 minutes after they took the tarp off the field, it just came in buckets, and that's what we've had. It's a little less right now than it was about an hour ago, but that's, comparing what to what. First down, line of scrimmage, the 30-yard line of Northwestern. 41 seconds for the Wolverines to work. Great protection for Brady. Goes for the end zone and caught for the touchdown. That's Ty Street.
Harold Blackman fell down. He was right there, Ron, and it looked like he had a chance for the interception, and he fell down. With a good kickoff return, Tom Brady taking over. They're spreading them out a little bit, throwing the ball.
Good decisions by the coaches to put Fargas back there, because he has proven that he's a mutter. And you're right, he gave him the great field position, and the Wolverines have scored the touchdown. Feely with the extra point attempt, and it's anything but automatic tonight. And the Wolverines go on top 7-6 with 35 seconds showing on the clock until the halftime.
Ron, sometimes the advantage is with the offensive player in a wet field. You're going to see Harold Blackman, number 6, working against Ty Streets, number 86. Tom Brady just airs it off. This ball, when I watched it, looked like it was going to be an interception, but Harold Blackman fell down. Going to see him right in the corner here. He's in great shape. He just slips, falls down. Touchdown, Michigan.
So 35 seconds left, and all of a sudden this crowd that was really into it's gotten a little bit quieter. And the tough thing for Gary Barnett and his staff, and the fact that this crowd has been into it, and he was about to go in with a lead at least 6-3, and now he trails at halftime. So momentum is something that Michigan has not had. Now they possess it.
They've got it on their side right now. Northwestern doesn't want to make any big mistakes here in the last 35 seconds. Get the half and get readjusted that they're still in this ball game and very much have a chance to win this football game.
Epstein will kick it off, and one of the guys who's back deep, we haven't seen him touch the ball tonight, is Simmons, who is a real flyer, along with Sean Bennett.
Not sure when you're talking about the disappointment of the crowd that they're not going to get to see the band at halftime either.
Well, it's one of the up linemen and has now been recovered by Northwestern at the 44-yard line. And I don't think they meant for it to be that much of a line drive kick.
No, now Northwestern doesn't have any timeouts left, but they've got great field position to take a couple shots down the field here. Michigan will make sure they know where Dwayne Bates is, the leading receiver for Northwestern.
Northwestern's offense huddling right in front of their bench, and now here they come back on the field as the 25-second clock has just been whistled in.
Michigan corner.
And you can bet that safety is going to be right over there helping him out shortly. Gets the pass away underthrown, and probably a good thing. Burrell, the intended receiver.
You know, Michigan, you go back to the strategy they used there just before the half. They take Vargas back. He returns the kickoff. Great field position. They go from the shotgun. They get a good, clean snap. They widen their 4 wide receivers. They pick on Northwestern into the boundary. Then they hit the touchdown pass. Good decisions by Mike DeBoer.
Pass right over the middle, complete at the 50. That's Burden. And the clock will continue to run. Did not pick up the first down. 18 seconds, now 17. James Hall defensively for Michigan. Got it again right over the middle to Anderson. And he is tackled. That's a first down. It'll stop the clock with 3 ticks left as Sam Sword makes still another tackle.
That's why, Ron, you like to have timeouts left for just this kind of situation. Northwestern burned some early, doesn't have the ability to stop this clock.
Whistle back in, and that is the end of the first half.
I think he was trying to kill the ball, but he fumbled the snap.
Fumbled the snap, was not able to throw it onto the turf, and we are at halftime. So both teams head to the locker room in what has been a miserable weather condition for the first 30 minutes. Our score, the Wolverines 7 and Northwestern 6. Now with the Buick halftime report, let's rejoin Larry Veal. Larry?
All right, Ron, the weather conditions there making for the unpredictable.
We watch it in the second half. It'll be a key as to who comes out on top in this ballgame.
That's big for Michigan. And Northwestern, Gary Barnett has to go into halftime and decide on what he's going to do with the 4 wide receivers of Michigan's presenting him, because they found a little weakness in the Northwestern defense just before halftime, and we'll see how they adjust. Northwestern, in the meantime, has got to find a way to move the football.
And, of course, Northwestern has co-defensive coordinators. And it's up to them to come up with, that formula and find out, what they're going to have to give up something to take away. Because otherwise, Michigan's going to continue to use it.
They've done a nice job. It was the first half, except for the last minute, where Northwestern did everything they wanted to do in this ball game. The last minute, they just made some mistakes and let Michigan get ahead.
Epstein will kick it off to start this second half. Simmons, one of the deep men, he's to the far side, and Sean Bennett to the near side. And you can tell by the glaring puddles on the field, we had more rain at halftime. This is Simmons. Simmons is the guy we were talking about, and he's a flyer. Was number 4 in the nation in punt returns, averaging 33 yards a return. And Packman just saved a Northwestern touchdown.
And, Ronnie, he's an interesting story because he came to Northwestern as a running back. They recruited 5. When they had freshman practice in the morning, he worked with the running backs. In the afternoon, he worked with the receivers. He caught one ball, showed he could be a receiver. He said, I'm not going to be a running back this year, but I'm going to keep my running back number. If he does that much more, he's going to go back to that running back position.
I'll tell you what, I'd have it happen as soon as right now.
Geez, he's impressive. You were right. You talked about his speed. He showed it to all of us on that play.
Bates is at quarterback. Now let's see what happens here as they're trying to get a new wrinkle in. They want him to carry the football, and he just runs it out, and he's going to take it down to the 43-yard line. So Gary Barnett is showing no holds barred. We're going to do whatever it takes to beat Michigan tonight.
Well, he was a high school quarterback. He came here as a high school quarterback. They lacked some wide receivers. They moved him out, just like they moved Simmons out to wide receiver. But in high school, Ron, he passed for 1,456 yards his senior year, 11 touchdowns, only 1 interception. So he can play the quarterback position.
Well, you see now, Hoffman is in the ball game, but he lines up at wide receiver.
And they're trying not to show Michigan, they're trying not to substitute so Michigan can tell this is coming.
Takes the option, going to take it down the line, and he'll be inside the 40 as Gold makes the tackle.
And you know one thing, Ron, that they're going to go away from Gavin Huffman. And they're not going to make him block. But you see, his passing yardages in high school, only 1 interception. He played with Corey Chavis, who's now with the Arizona Cardinals, former Vanderbilt corner. And they played all together from Pop Warner right through high school. And Dwayne Bates, when I said, how were you as a passer? He said, I just threw it to Corey.
Hoffman again outside. Bates coming down the line, loses the football.
Rob Renas, Ron, really made a good play. He's the nose guard. It's on the move, always dominant high school wrestler. He's 111-14 in heavyweight wrestling, and he shows you a balance of a wrestler on this play. Number 58.
Wow, he's lucky that they got that thing back. So Northwestern will kick it away. But
nice little wrinkle. Nice little opening to the second half. Now they can punt Michigan down and try to keep them down in their side of the field.
Marcus Wright is the deep man for the Wolverines. And a flag comes down, and they did run into the punter. Now let's see if it's going to be the 5-yard or the personal foul, because if it's a personal foul, Mike Gottfried, that ball's going to be down inside the 30-yard line. Hall is the fella who ran into it.
They gave a holding signal here.
I beg your pardon.
Which is really tough for Northwestern because they pinned them down inside the 5. Maybe on the personal protector. No, it's on number 8. Napoleon Harris.
Yep, and he did not run into him, and that was the flag. So, and now what makes it even tougher? We're back down into that part of the field that was really chewed up in the first half. The center is not going to have
penalty from the spot of the foul.
When you talk about a big penalty, because it was a spot of the foul,
which is almost 15 yards behind.
Yeah, and it's 4th and 31 yards. But they lose the great field position.
Not as good a kick. Knight on the run, and this one goes out of bounds at the 29-yard line, but there is no return. And let's check in with Adrian Karsten. Adrian?
All right, Ron, thanks. Coming out of the locker room, Lloyd Carr admitted to me they're going to have to continue to make their hay, as wet as it may be, on first down. Averaging just over 6 yards per gain now on first down. He will do, quote, anything it takes to stay out of 3rd and long. If it means throwing out short to the wide side of the field or taking it right up the middle, that's exactly what they're going to do. One further note about Northwestern. In the locker room at halftime, Ron, they went through 300 towels.
You got everything noted there, buddy. All right. Brady sets deep to throw, looking at safety valve, and it's incomplete. Give us a quick opportunity to talk about, we talked about the first half offensive leaders. Here are the defensive leaders in that first half. Sword and goal, 8 tackles for Sword and 7 solo. We told you he led the Michigan team coming into this game. And Gardner with 6 solo, and for Blackman 5 tackles for Northwestern in the first half.
Well, what Adrian was talking about, the most important person at halftime may have been Tom Jarvis, the equipment manager, getting all those towels ready. And Bill Jarvis, new clean jerseys.
Vargas, and they are all over him. It's going to be a loss of about 3 yards. You can see Gardner is still talking to him.
Barry Gardner, the walk-on run, and we both talked to him. He worked dorm security to make enough money to go to school when he was a walk-on from 8 p.m. till 2 a.m. And you talked about to him when he made that call to his mom.
I said, you know, what'd your mom say? And he said she couldn't talk. She started crying. That because it was a financial burden on him and on the family. And for all his life, he will love Gary Barnett for giving him that scholarship. Pass is knocked right into the hands of the receiver. Good heavens, Morton tipped the ball, knocking it away, and it goes right into the hands of Knight.
Talk about 2 big plays already in this third quarter. The holding on the punt, that they'd had the ball on the 5-yard line. This play where they'd have stopped them from a first down. The ball's going to be deflected.
See, there.
Right into the hands of Marcus Knight. Rashad Morton.
Now that's
big field position change.
Well, on the punt that they had to kick over, 25 yards difference than what they got because of the holding call. Vargas, and he is hit hard at the line of scrimmage, knocked down after a gain of a couple, maybe 3. Conrad Emmerich, the junior out of Foley, Minnesota, the middle linebacker, is there to make the tackle for Northwestern.
And Ron, to go back on Barry Gardner, the former walk-on, he has 70 tackles, leads the Big Ten, but he didn't make the Butkus list. I think they made a mistake not having him on the semifinals list. He's an outstanding player. We talked to him about whether he'll play pro football, and he said, if somebody gives me a chance, well, I can guarantee you, somebody's going to give him a chance. He will not be a walk-on in the pros.
I sure would. I'd give him a chance, because he's one of those type of kids all his life's been told you can't do it. Big opening, 5, 10, counted off at about 17 yards in the carry all the way to the Northwestern 43-yard line as Vargas, the touchdown-saving tackle was made by Mike Nelson, Jr.
Well, he's the difference in this ball game in the running game. 7 yards deep. His depth there to get the football so that he can cut back if he sees the cutback, but he didn't need any cutback here. There's a wide hole by John Jansen, Adam Atkins, and Tooman on that side.
Also Backus. See that average, nobody else having much luck. He gets tripped up this time and then is put down hard as Emmerich is the man who took his feet out from under him. Then Gardner was there to finish him off. He can only, well, as you watch this replay right here.
And Barry Gardner getting in there to make the tackle and finishing off as Conrad Emmerich had the feet of Justin Vargas.
Just to close the line on Gardner, and he is, as I said, as exemplary as anybody that you can find in college athletics, walking on the all-night security job, and he has graduated from Northwestern, and his cumulative was 3-4.
And I asked him if he'd go back to that darn security job. He said, they'll never see me again now that I've got the scholarship.
Here's Cross. It's recovered by Northwestern. Morton is on top of it. Walter Cross had just come into the lineup, and he fumbled it.
And I think that's the first play. I believe it's the first play Walter Cross enters the ball game to give Justin Vargas a rest and fumbles the football. Not used to the conditions on the field and coughed one up here. 7 yards deep, gets the football. There's the tackle.
Dyra knocked it loose. And, you know, Morton's got to feel a little better because he's the one that tipped that ball a while ago and went right into the hands of Knight. So he gains a little reprieve, feels better.
Now the offense has got to find a key.
Well, Bates is back at quarterback. Let's see if...
I think they feel like this guy gives them the best chance with the ball in his hands.
They're going to let him throw this one. And I'm not sure to let him throw again.
Well, you know, he said, we asked him, we said, Gary Barnett said he might choose you quarterback. And he said, I'm not sure about that. He's just been saying that, but I don't think he believed he was going to play quarterback tonight.
I think you're right. He threw that one to Stewart, the tight end.
No, he threw it to the ground.
Well, we'll change that number. It's 2 of 3 now. He's a little bit behind him and into the ground. I'm amazed anybody can get a snap under these conditions, though. As Hoffman goes back under center. 2nd down and 10, Northwestern. Anderson gets a lead block, and he'll take it across the 40. And Larry Beal, what do you have for us?
Moron, Nebraska bouncing back from that loss to Texas A&M by bouncing Kansas around. Bobby Newcomb holds, then pitches at the last second to Correll Buckhalter for the touchdown. 24-0 Huskers.
So it seems as though the key for that club is Newcomb has to be healthy.
Has to be healthy, and they've got a big game ahead of them against Bill Snyder's Kansas State ball club. Not since 1968 has Kansas State beat them. I believe Vince Gibson was the coach then.
Linebacker coming on a blitz, gets the pass away. There's Bates, and he'll have the first down. And I'll tell you what happened. The linebacker coming on the blitz slipped and got to the quarterback about a step late.
And then Bates looks a little bit better catching the ball than he did throwing it a little while ago. A little delay into the wide receiver. There's the blitz coming. Ian Gold, you're right, he slipped. Wayne Bates on the reception.
I think there's an opportunity to get both Bates and Simmons out there and give them a try. Anderson, there's not going to be anything. He's going to lose 3 yards in the play, and it's Rob Renas, the junior out of Holland, Michigan. And let's go down to Adrian Karsten. Adrian?
Ron, Lloyd Carr claims that the ball isn't just simply handed off to a running back at Michigan. It is entrusted to his care. Granted, the conditions are bad. But if he worked on anything else during that week off, he was holding on to the ball. Additionally, it's the last thing he reminded his backs, and especially players, as they left the locker room. Hang on to the ball. Remember, turnovers, especially with Michigan, lead to big momentum changes.
Well, it certainly did in this ball game because Northwestern down by 1, 7-6. There's the blitz, the pass, almost caught by one hand with Bates. He had to go high in the air. But let's say Michigan takes that in for a touchdown, then all of a sudden this is a mountain to climb under these kind of conditions.
Yeah, you're just, if you're Northwestern, you're looking for a field goal right now just to get the lead again. Gavin Hoffman with the play action the other way.
Look at this effort. He almost tipped it back down to himself. And you can see that the defensive back, Whitley, it's not that he was doing a bad job. You can't overcommit because that receiver knows where he's going and you don't know.
It's tougher on defensive backs.
They throw the screen to the middle. There's nothing there. He breaks it open, and Bates is on his way. Tackled at the 30-yard line, and he took a play that was supposed to come back over the middle and lived and took it out.
One of the smartest plays I've seen out of a wide receiver. He was supposed to continue on, you're right, with the quick screen inside, but he put on the brakes and moved back outside. Gavin Huffman gives him the football. Watch, he stops. Pressure, now gets outside, gets a nice block on the outside. John Burden.
Burden, sure was.
And now Northwestern creeps closer to that field goal range.
Well, actually, closer, Gary Barnett would say, I beg your pardon, to that touchdown. 7-6, Wolverines lead it. About the midway point of the third quarter. And Bennett, the ball carrier. And you could see Bennett from his up position. As he tried to start, he slipped.
I was thinking about what Adrian was talking about, Lloyd Carr with the fumble, and back the old coaches back in the 50s used to take a bucket of water out and they'd put the ball in the bucket of water and try to work on wet balls all the time, even if it wasn't raining outside, because they said you'd have to play in those kind of conditions someday, but I don't think they meant in these kind of conditions. But this is football. I ran into Bo Schembecker back there. He was smiling about this kind of football.
Counter tray, flag comes down, and boy, that's thrown by the umpire, and Northwestern's going to take a 10-yard walk back.
The young offensive line, Northwestern's been a problem for them. Wow, can't have those kind of mistakes because, again, you're knocking on that scoring door.
You see the grimace on Gary Barnett's face, and it's exactly what Mike is talking about, because these are just not normal conditions, and to pick up 20 yards on a set of downs is really hard.
Well, it looked like it was Jade Camp, number 84. He was wrestling.
So they whistled the play back in, and the clock is moving. It is a 2nd down and 20. And they snapped from the 40. They got to take it to the Michigan 20. Fumble the snap.
I think the center felt like the Michigan guy was offside. He snapped the football. Quarterback wasn't ready. They better hope they pick up a penalty for offsides.
I have a feeling that's exactly what the referee is asking the umpire.
That's why the center snapped the football.
Well, Renas is the man who recovers it, and what the center thought he saw was not there, according to the officials.
Adam Faye's a sophomore. There's the nose guard. Rob Renas moving. Center snapped the ball. Quarterback was not ready for the football.
Timeout on the field. 7-6, Michigan on top. A couple of turnovers. We'll be right back. ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by Isuzu, specialized worldwide builders of adventure machines. Isuzu, go farther. And by National Car Rental. So what are you waiting for? Let's go. We are back, and Mike, we're going to show that play again. And I think Faye had a good point. I think the nose guard probably was offside.
Well, you're always taught as a center. I don't like it because it always bad things happen when, can happen on that play.
Vargas is stopped after a nice gain. He's going to have about 7 yards in the play.
But you go back, Ron, what centers are taught. When somebody jumps offside, you know they're offside, snap the football. Quarterback will go to a knee. But I don't like that because just for what happened here, a lot of things can happen. Here's Renas. Looks like his head's over the line. Faye snaps the football. Gavin Huffman's not ready for the football. So he would take a knee. The ball is fumbled. If you don't get any call, you don't get any yardage. I just never have liked that.
And actually, the video we have from the defensive side shows that his head is even with the center. Snap is fumbled here, and it's going to be a 3rd down. He loses a couple, and it's going to be 3rd down and 5. Brady recovered his own fumble. This part of the field, from the 35 down to about the 30 on the other end, there's just not much traction. There's not much left, just because of all the rain. And you can see when he went down there, there's just nothing but mud. And trust me, it is not the fault of the folks who take care of this field, because it was manicured yesterday afternoon. They just weren't planning on 5 or 6 inches of rain. From the shotgun, they throw in the flat, got a man right up, and he dropped the ball. They had brought a blitz from Morton, and the area was left vacant. It was the perfect call for the situation, and he couldn't hold on to the ball.
And it's an easy throw, Ron, to Aaron Shea, the fullback. He was converted to fullback from the tight end position in the spring. Just couldn't hold on.
Vincent punted away for the Wolverines.
Good series by Northwestern's defense.
7-6. Michigan continues to hold on. Bates is back deep again. Northwestern's got to return on this. A very good kick under the conditions from the 15-yard line. Bates going to spin his way out to the 24. Campbell making the tackle on the special teams. Mark Campbell, the tight end. Timeout on the field. We'll be right back.
State Farm presents Rules of the Game.
We're talking about line of scrimmage play. In this play, the defense penetrates the neutral zone, which caused a reaction by the offensive lineman. What's the call?
I do kitchens, I do bathrooms, I do family rooms. I do not do insurance. I want to be treated like I feel I treat my clients. I want to be treated like I am their only client. Michelle Duthman treats me the same way I want to be treated. I have my cars, all of my household. I need somebody that I can get advice from. I know that when I need them the most, they're going to be there.
Get to know your State Farm agent.
It's a great relationship.
We're talking about the line of scrimmage. In this play, the defensive team penetrated the line of scrimmage, which caused a reaction by the offensive team. Defensive offsides.
Rules of the game has been brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
It's like this. We like big engines, big tires, and riding up high. That's why we don't make cars. We think you'll see more of the world in a 215 horsepower Isuzu Trooper. Lease one for $289 a month for 48 months with $784 due at lease signing. Because the world is big, and cars just aren't.
Well, part of you talk about a hardy crowd. 7-6, Michigan leads it, and it has started to just pour the buckets again. Unbelievable. Love to know what the rain gauge shows for Evanston, Illinois. Rain for this Saturday.
Wet.
I'm talking about measurement. Well, they're going to run a reverse. Not much there.
Tough to run a reverse in this kind of weather because there's so much direction change. Sam Sword makes the tackle.
Well, next Saturday, Ohio State linebacker Andy Katzenmoyer will be on the prowl as he and the #1 ranked Buckeyes are headed for our Big Ten afternoon. College game day starts at 11 a.m. Eastern. Then it's Indiana taking on Michigan from Ann Arbor. And over on the Deuce, Ohio State is right here in Evanston to face Northwestern. Both games at noon Eastern time.
Schedule maker didn't do Gary Barnett any favors. Michigan and Ohio State back-to-back.
Then he's got Michigan State, he's got Purdue, and he's got Penn State. They get the screen pass out to Bates. Oh, he was like one blocker from getting that thing open. Peterson came over and did a nice job of making a sure tackle.
Nice block by Sean Bennett to transfer from Evansville. And again, Ron, this is the kind of play that Northwestern has to make their hay with, because Dwayne Bates, a little short pass. They don't look like they can hold out Michigan's defensive line for a long period of time to throw the ball down the field. So everything's got to be short, and the quick screen has been the best play for them.
Bates has 7 receptions for 105 yards. Blitz coming in the middle, and they pop it outside. Anderson with a stiff arm, and he wound up picking up not only the first down, but about 8 more yards in there is a late flag that has come down.
I mean, real late.
Patman got credit for the tackle. Tag a face mask on.
Looks like 5 yards. Anderson working outside, got a nice block. He gets a stiff arm.
You can see that there he is, grabs the face mask, does not take him down with it. That's the reason it was a 5-yard rather than a 15.
They both had their hands on each other's face mask.
6 penalties against Northwestern, 5 against Michigan. Bringing everybody. Quick out pass. Got it to Bates. Going to be good for about 6 yards, maybe 7. Gold on the tackle.
But they tipped it off, Ron, and you saw it up here. I saw it. Everybody knew it was going to be a blitz. Gavin Hoffman checked out, and he must have had a run going to be played and checked off to throw the quick slant to Dwayne Bates. So a nice call by Gavin Hoffman. But again, Michigan tilting their hand a little bit too early.
Probably should look for either a tight end or a running back to slip them into the middle behind that.
There's something, again, they've got to try to go down the field a little bit more.
Well, they get the trap and a big opening. Anderson inside the 30, and he's down to the 29. Weathers makes the tackle. It's 17 yards.
I believe they ran behind Brian Hemmerly, the the outstanding guard for Northwestern, and they opened up a big hole in this Michigan defensive front. And now field position is turned for Northwestern. Good pull block by Lance Cleland, number 77. He's the trap player for Damian Anderson.
That's the longest run from scrimmage by Northwestern tonight. 17 yards. Fumbled the snap. Wow.
The fumble on the snap.
Here's where you talk about young players. A sophomore at center and a very young quarterback, and they've got to talk. You know, the quarterback's got to tell him, I'm not getting the ball. The quarterback has to tell him where the ball's hitting on his hands, whether he's bringing it up short or he's too deep. But they've had 2 or 3 fumbles in the second half.
And they're fortunate to have come away with that one right there. But instead of picking up anything or just no gain, it's now 2nd down and 14. Here comes the blitz again. Pitch back to Anderson. Tries to right himself, and it's a nice open field tackle by Michigan. It appeared as though 59 Grady Brooks, a sophomore out of Dallas, Texas, came up and just chilled him.
You can bet one thing, Ron. Gary Barnett's thinking 3 points right here. He's trying to get it up a little bit closer so he can get this field goal and take the lead a little bit and then play defense with his defensive football team. He's trying to find a way, a 10-yard play, just to set up this field goal. Now, the last time they were in this situation, they threw the curl pass to Dwayne Bates.
Well, Goins on the sideline is ready, but boy, this attempt here, they wouldn't even try to be 53 yards. 5 of 11 on 3rd down conversions, Northwestern. And again, problem with the exchange. Hoffman will go straight forward. And what do? Punt it?
Punt it. There's 2 problems. And it's the weather, and Rob Renas is bothering, I think, Adam Fay. His movement. I don't think there's any doubt you punt the football down here, but the center, Adam Fay's having trouble with Rob Renas blocking him. He's the nose guard that jumped a little bit when he snapped the ball on that offside. We thought it was offside. Fumbled the football.
At the Michigan 37-yard line.
I think they're going to punt this football and play field position, try to pin them inside the 10-yard line. They'll wait till the 4th quarter to do it.
And they're going to do it in the 4th quarter because that is the end of 3. So let's take a timeout. As we head to the final 15, it's Michigan 7 and the Wildcats of Northwestern 6. Back for the final quarter after we pause for this. The rain has not subsided here at Ryan Field on the campus of Northwestern University. It is 4th down for the Wildcats. And Standring is waiting for the snap back at the 48-yard line. Marcus Knight is back deep. Into the end zone.
Well, that's what you didn't want to happen. It's your Northwestern.
Kicking him into the wind, and he kicked his best punt of the night. Kind of eased up on it. Kind of like a golf swing. Sometimes when you relax instead of trying to overswing and you hit it further. So Michigan comes out offensively to take it over their opening series of this opening minute of the 4th quarter, and they lead by 1. Play, and Vargas is going to have about 3, maybe 4 yards.
Ron, just before the snap of the football, the Northwestern moved to the tight end. They moved their defense to the tight end, expecting Michigan to try to run to the tight end, which they did. You got to give a lot of credit to the 2 defensive coordinators. They got co-defensive coordinators, Jerry Brown and Vince O'Crew, both outstanding defensive coaches.
Again, they go with the pitch. Vargas turns it up. Missed tackle, and he's going to go for the 1st down. And then a couple of more yards as Buck finally puts the stop on him. But you can see that he is elusive even on this wet turf in the open field.
A lot of missed tackles. You made the point. Missed tackles on Justin Fargas. He would turn the corner. They had two linebackers had a shot at him. But again, Fargas is the mutter tonight. He's able to cut. Looks like the wet weather does not bother him. Here he makes his cut. Linebackers fall down. He made the cut. Finally, Kevin Buck on the tackle.
From Encino has really been impressive, and he takes this one for a gain of almost 5 yards in the play. And bodies are still flying around. Gardner and Dyra on the tackle. Now, the last 4 meetings between these two clubs entering the fourth quarter, look how close. We told you the 1996 ball game, 16-0. You say that's not close. Well, it was close when Northwestern came back and won it 17-16.
Well, Northwestern won 2 of them, and that goes back to what we said in the beginning of this ball game. Gary Barnett has instilled in his ball club that they can beat Michigan.
Clarence Williams has come back in at tailback from the 33. Brady lobs the ball out to him, got a wide open field. Crosses the 50-yard line and is tackled at the 49. And boy, Northwestern got suckered on that play because there was nobody within 10 or 15 yards of him. It's a gain of 14.
And they did a nice job blocking downfield. Clarence Williams gets the pass, and again, a good safe pass called by Mike DeBoer, the offensive coordinator. Tom Brady, number 54, gets out and leads the play. Maurice Williams. And then Clarence Williams picks up good yardage. It's a nice drive by Michigan.
10 of 16 for 127 yards for Brady. Fargas back in the lineup at tailback. Counter Trey. Tries to get it outside, and he gets killed. Wow. Some kind of hit right there in the middle. You could hear the collision. And I think it was Harold Blackman, the cornerback, who came up and put the headgear on him. I mean, he just stops. This play doesn't go any farther. Watch. Yep. Bam.
And Ron, Harold Blackman came to Northwestern as a quarterback. He didn't play defense in high school. Coaches Vince Acru was telling us he got hurt his ankle in the Iowa game. They took him out. He put himself back in. They didn't think he could go back in, but he went back in on his own and played through the ankle injury and showed his toughness in that ball game.
He just showed his toughness again. He likes to put his nose in there. Second down. Line to make just inside the 40. Brady, that same screen. It's Williams, and this time a nice job defensively. That's Gardner, who was right there in his tracks. He stops him.
The Dorn security guard made that stop, and he was right there, broke down and made the tackle in perfect football position on Clarence Williams. He read that play right from the start.
Well, the wind is really beginning to pick up now. It is at the back of Michigan, and the flags are outstretched, and the rain is now almost parallel to the ground. That flag there, not doing very much, is it? Third down. They're going to take it to the 40-yard line, just inside. Vargas on the running play, and he will have the Michigan first down.
What a nice move here again by Lloyd Carr and his offensive staff. Spread out Northwestern on defense with 4 wide receivers and then run Justice Fargas up inside against the reduced front. Good blocking by the Michigan line again. And Fargas has been the man of the hour in this ball game.
Really has. Mike, just that quick, the jab step and making a cut on a field like this is truly outstanding. And you know, Emmerich was in position, it appears.
He's been the difference in this football game. Now, that doesn't look like a lot of yards, 18 rushes for 90 yards, but in this field conditions, on his kickoff return of 28 yards, he's been the difference.
Gets it again, cuts it back to the weak side, and he gets branded by Michael Jones. Now, he also has shown some toughness tonight as a late flag comes in from way downfield, and some blocking continued. Jansen's headgear is way down at the 16-yard line.
It's going to be a personal foul. I don't know if it'll be 2 of them, but it's going to be 1 for sure. At the wrong time, the penalties have gone against Northwestern. Mistakes that Gary Barnett, when they look at the tape, will have cost them dearly in this football game.
Well, this one right here is going to take it inside the 20-yard line. Now 7 penalties against the Wildcats for a total of 84 yards.
John Jansen was blocking deep down the field.
First down, Michigan. New line of scrimmage just inside the Northwestern 20-yard line. Vargas hit hard at the line of scrimmage. It's Jeff Dyra who got penetration. And he'll have a yard's gain on the play.
Jeff Dyra's had a pretty good football game, and we talked to Vince O'Crew, the co-coordinator. He said this is the year he could blossom, and I think he's blossomed in this football game. He's made a lot of plays on the Michigan side of the line of scrimmage.
7-6 our score. Michigan by 1. And the Wolverines trying to tack one on here, not for good measure, but to put an 8-point difference on that board, which would be awfully big. Looking for the end zone.
Two-man route run where they heavy protected it. 2 receivers out. Harold Blackman on the cover. Michigan won pass interference. Ty Streets, number 86, going to get pushed down here. Harold Blackman collides with him, but I agree with the official. Just wipe that one off. They kind of ran into each other.
So it's 3rd down. And to keep this one going, you got to move the ball to the Northwestern 9. Vargas and Shea, the 2 running backs.
This has been the area they like to go to Tillman.
Vargas. Not nearly enough, but they ran it right in the middle of the field. That's Dyra who made the tackle on him. And if they go for a field goal, this will be a 32-yard attempt.
Jeff Dyra, another tackle. Michigan in good field position for this field goal attempt.
So the Wolverines trying to put Northwestern in a position where they would have to come all the way back and score a touchdown to win this football game. But he knocked that one home, and it may be the one that counts the most. Michigan 10, Northwestern 6. Let's take a break.
Everybody!
Michigan now on top 10-6 with 9:13 left to play in our ball game. Now Simmons, we've been talking about the great job that Vargas has done tonight for Michigan, but Simmons had a nice return, number 28, for the Northwestern Wildcats. One of the 2 deep men. Epstein's kick. Touched by one of the blocking backs and will not be picked up by one of those deep returners. And Vanderwalt, reserve linebacker. 9:03 left to play in the ball game. There's a break in the action. 10-6 Michigan. ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by Priority Mail from the U.S. Postal Service and by Chrysler, engineered to be great cars. We have just over 9 minutes to play in the ball game, and Northwestern comes back on offense. We've just been told that officially there have been 10 fumbles and only 3 lost. So 10 fumbles between the 2 teams. 12 plays, 65 yards, 5:02. The length of time on the clock. And Feely with that what now is a big difference in the ball game.
And aided by a 15-yard penalty.
That was huge. He's going to throw this one away. Nice job defensively. Let's check in once again with Larry Beal.
Thanks, Ron. LSU and Kentucky. Anthony White from the 3-yard line takes the pitch. Barrels in for the touchdown. 7-0 Wildcats in a game that's going on the Deuce.
You know, LSU is another one of those teams that nobody did them a favor with their scheduling.
No, they go back-to-back Georgia and then Florida and then Kentucky, but you'd think they'd be able to run the ball enough against Kentucky to control that football game.
Comes a blitz again. Going to go on top of the pass. In position, and a nice job by Andre Weathers.
You just get the feeling watching this game Northwestern can't score a touchdown. Because of the weather conditions, young offensive line, they're not able to run the ball. Michigan defensively has done everything they need to do to this point. Somewhere you got to milk out a touchdown somehow. Somebody's got to come up with a big play to help you get big chunks of yards. That's the only way you're going to score against Michigan. You're not going to drive the ball down the field in this weather.
Gary Barnett looking up at that clock, and it's not his friend right now. Under 9 minutes to play. On third down, it's passed. Hoffman's ball is tipped and tamped the intended receiver, and now it's 4th down.
They're going to get a Lance Cleland probably for a holding call, which Michigan will probably turn down.
Yeah, they will. They want Northwestern to punt this football back to them, and I think unless just extremely necessary to do so, we probably have seen Brady throw his last pass of the night.
Yeah, they'll try to kill the clock run, or they'll be short passes, safe passes.
Knight again back as the deep man for the Wolverines.
When we talked to the Northwestern players, they kind of circled this game. They said, we want to go to a bowl game. We must win this football game. So there's a sense of urgency all week here at Northwestern to beat Michigan because they want to keep their bowl hopes alive.
Line drive kick, and it is returnable, except he let it bounce. You can see that ball just went dead at the 28. 37 yards in the punt. Michigan by 4. We'll be right back.
It is the result of...
We're back in Evanston, Illinois. Michigan 10 and the Wildcats of Northwestern 6. And the crowd has stayed even through these horrible conditions tonight. Just waiting to see, but I have a feeling, Mike, that if Michigan starts to pick up some first downs here, that parking lot might fill up in a hurry. There goes your convoy, and it's Vargas. He will stay in bounds. Nope, they're going to say he got out of bounds, so they stop the clock, which is not what Michigan was looking to do on that play.
Good job by the offensive line. Talked about the average 6'5", 290 pounds. They're following John Jansen there, the 6'7", 294-pound senior. And when we talked to him the other day on the phone, he talked about the fact that when they were 0-2, and you asked him, you said, you know, Michigan's not used to being 0-2, and he said, we got a lot of calls, a lot of letters from our fans of support. There's still a lot to do this year, and by the end of the year, we'll still have a say in who wins this national championship.
Brady with the handoff, and Vargas going to pick up a couple of yards. He also was really complimentary of Brady and the job that he has done. He said he's settling in. He is still settling in, and it's going to take a little time. And quite frankly, and we don't mean to overtalk the conditions, but they are dreadful. But Brady, since that opening quarter, really has adapted and has not been a factor as far as exchange from center or throwing errant passes.
No, and a quiet confidence about him. You know, when we talk to him, a quiet confidence in his ability to lead this Michigan football team.
Third down, and this Northwestern crowd coming to life. The line to make is the 38. Brady's pass is thrown complete to the 46-yard line to tie Street.
Brady's pass is complete.
Yeah, that's good for 12 yards, and a new set of downs, and the clock is at 7:49.
And going back to Tom Brady, we talked to Jerry Hanlon, the former offensive line coach of Michigan, who probably is one of the best offensive line coaches ever coached a game. And I asked him about Tom Brady, and he said the kids just believe in him. They believe that he's going to win for them. They started off the season. Bob Davies' Notre Dame team got him the first game. then all your hopes of national championship are pretty well down the drain. Syracuse got them, but they still can play for the Big Ten championship.
There's a counterplay again. There's not much there. That's a nice job defensively by Northwestern, and it's Harris who stuffed it up. Well, no Sunday night game this week, but on ABC's Monday Night Football, Drew Bledsoe and the first-place New England Patriots take on the New York Jets. Parcells and Curtis Martin return to Foxborough in what promises to be an intriguing evening for both teams. 8 o'clock Eastern, right after ESPN's Monday Night Countdown. Ron Franklin, Mike Gottfried, and Adrian Karsten coming to you from a very soggy Evanston, Illinois. Michigan leading it by 4 points. Vargas, boy, you could hear the hit up here.
Napoleon Harris
again. You know, one other thing that I thought was funny that Jansen said, you know, he was a tight end, a good athlete in high school. And they asked him, they said, you know, you're not, because we got some good people there, you're not going to get to play as soon or maybe as often. You know, what do you think about going to tackle? He said, I jumped at him. And his high school nickname was Rock. We asked him about that. He said, it didn't come from football, it came from basketball. I said, I hope it doesn't describe your shot. And he said, no, it was for some other things that had happened that he didn't detail.
Well, he made the right choice going to tackle.
He did. He'd be a high selection, don't you think, Miles? Swings this pass out and just beyond Clarence Williams' hands.
Northwestern's going to get their hands on the football again with 5:55 on the clock. They need a big play out of somebody, and maybe it'll be the punt return to Dwayne Bates.
You know, I'm a little surprised. They got Bates back there. He's the breaker, but so is Simmons. As we said, Simmons was averaging 33 yards a return, number 4 in the nation. I'm a little surprised Gary hadn't put both of them back there. Benson to punt it away for Michigan. Well, they came after him. He rushed the kick, and look at this roll. It is going to go dead at the 1-yard line. 52 yards on the kick, and it was Todd Howard who got down there to touch it dead. Let's take a break. 5:52 left in the ball game, and the Wolverines trying to salt this one away. Ten to 6, Michigan leads, and you can see only 5:42 left on the clock. By the way, Sword has 10 tackles in this ball game, 9 solo. Anderson, who's been a very steady ball player tonight for Northwestern, takes it out to the 5, and Sword with tackle number 11.
Ron, Jason Vinson, the punter, just probably doused the hopes of Northwestern here with that punt. Again, they still need a big play to get out of here, but Dwayne Bates didn't field the ball, and the ball inside the 1, so Michigan's coordinator Jim Herman wants a turnover right here. Now they're looking for a turnover to finish them Northwestern off right here.
If the Wildcats were to go 99 yards in this drive to come from behind and beat Michigan, then the Maize and Blue would go back home to Ann Arbor scratching their head.
They're going to go 99 yards. They need about a 40-yard chunk in one play.
That's Stewart in motion, using him as a blocker. Not much there. Ball is loose. Hendricks made the hit.
You're in the type of ball game now that Gavin Huffman's got to come up with a play here. 3rd down, you've got to throw it. Michigan going to be in with a couple extra defensive backs in the ball game. Got penetration from the outside there. Tommy Hendricks coming off the corner.
Well, the players thought the ball was loose, but it was secured down underneath.
They've hit the quick screen a couple times. Let's see if they go to that.
3rd down. Bates was the man that they wanted, and they're going to have to kick it back, and now into a howling wind. But most importantly, they're having to give the football back to the Maize and Blue.
ball.
They're
That's what
hollering to
yelling.
Marcus Knight, catch the ball.
Make sure you don't let it hit.
Timeout, Northwestern.
So we'll take the timeout with them. 4:16 remaining in our ball game. Well, as you can tell, the wind has really increased here in the second half. Michigan has increased its intensity, and they now lead this ball game 10-6.
With that timeout, Michigan called off. They're thinking fake right here. They have no one back to catch the punt right here. They're figuring that Gary Barnett's. They're going to take the safety.
So the safety.
Not a bad call.
Actually, now he gets the free kick from
the 20-yard line.
20-yard line.
That's why he took the timeout.
So Gary Barnett wants to make sure that they're not totally out of this football game. So he takes the safety. He'll get a free kick from the 20. Who knows? Michigan might mishandle, but he doesn't want to block or mishandle and give away a free touchdown.
No, and he'd give up big field position there. He at least wants a kickoff team down here from the 20-yard line. He's got one shot to win this football game. They need a turnover. They need to change field position. I just think it's a good call because you're still a touchdown behind.
4:12 is what we have on the clock, and you can look at it again from behind, and you see that the punter just stepped away from it, let it go out the back of the end zone.
That was either an automatic safety or J.J. Standing his needs to see the eye doctor.
All right. Well, College Game Day kicks off our lineup next Saturday, followed by Indiana taking on Michigan from Ann Arbor. While over on the Deuce, Ohio State is here against Northwestern. Both games are noon starts. Then an evening of Southern football. 6 o'clock on the Deuce, Mississippi State takes on LSU. And at 7:30, Florida State is in Atlanta to meet Georgia Tech right here on ESPN. That's where our crew will be. And we should see a pretty good ball game. Georgia Tech came from behind to upend top 10 ranked Virginia today. So Goins will kick the ball. And Clarence Williams is the deep man for Michigan. You see that Michigan has the good hands up close. They're looking for anything out of Northwestern. It away over his head. Now that ball is alive, so he's got to get back there and get to it. And he does the same thing and just falls up. Clarence Williams making sure.
This is a good move by Gary Barnett because he did change the field position around now because Clarence Williams.
Touchdown to win it.
Yeah, he fell right on the football, so the ball's back at the 20-yard line. Northwestern still has 2 timeouts. There's a lot of time, 4:06 to go on the clock. Now it's up to his defense. Good move right here. I think he changed the field position. Gary Barnett thinking on that play, and I like what he did.
And let's check in with Adrian.
Ron, interesting call here by the defensive staff for Northwestern. Usually in situations like this, what you're told to do as a defensive lineman, especially, is tackle the ball. What they're telling him to do is tackle the man. Do not let him get the first down, because many times when you try and knock the ball out, the man can pick up an extra 3 or 4 yards and obviously get the first down.
The running play. I'll tell you what, Fargus is just...
Well, Michigan's good thing they packed Fargus with him tonight because he's been a difference in this football game. Tom Brady hit the pass for the touchdown to Ty Streets, but Fargus, it's been his ball game, and offensive lines opened up holes for him, and he's been the difference in this football game.
Well, he's helped them move the chains, which Northwestern has just called another timeout. That will leave them with 1 to stop the clock with 3:51 to play. So we'll take the commercial break with them. 12-6, Michigan. They're back in Evanston. 3:54 left in this one. Northwestern has just used their second timeout, and they have 1 remaining. And for Michigan, it is second down and about 5.5 yards to go. It's hit hard, and he still takes the ball forward. It looks like Gardner who makes the stop. That's now 13 tackles. 14 tackles for him, and Northwestern has just used their last timeout. So that they have no timeouts remaining.
Barry Gardner continued to add to his Big Ten leading tackling chart.
Well, tonight's Feast of Players of the game are from Michigan, Justin Vargas. And you see his numbers. Vargas with 27 carries, 113 yards. And from Northwestern, Dwayne Bates, 8 receptions, 112 yards. As part of their continuing effort to further the development of amateur athletics, Visa is proud to donate $1,000 on behalf of these athletes to their school's General Scholarship Fund.
Ron, Justin Vargas had to step up tonight because Anthony Thomas, they left him behind. He tailback, he's injured, back in Ann Arbor, and Clarence Williams and Walter Cross got on the field, but Justin Vargas has been the difference in this football game. Anthony Thomas,
youngster out of Winfield, Louisiana. Vargas, of course, from Encino, California. Somebody suggested that one of the reasons he's running well in this is that he's never seen rain in Encino.
El Commerce
from Encino. They just said it doesn't rain a lot.
The Chamber of Commerce through the college.
And this person's from California who told us that. And we assume he knows what he's talking about. Third down. And as far as Northwestern is concerned, this could be the ball game here. Third down, about 2.5 yards. Vargas leaps over the top, and he got a good spot from that line over there.
What an effort out of the freshman running back. Highly recruited player out of California. Justin Vargas is showing you why everybody in the country wanted him as a running back. What do you think, Ron? Has he made it here?
I think he has from where the spot was coming up from the sideline. Yeah, he's going to have it with about a half yard to spare. Yep.
Now Northwestern without timeouts. Michigan will try to milk this last 3:41. Great effort going over the top. Good job by the offensive line again. Atkins, Jansen, Frazier, Hutchison, Backus, Tooman, Campbell.
Like the score that shocks me most of all that came in here today. Virginia Tech losing to Temple.
I'm happy for Bobby Wallace and Dave O'Brien, the athletic director there. They're trying to build that program. A tough loss for Frank Beamer, but a nice win for the Temple program.
Tulane remains undefeated. By the way, coming up next, residents in college game night. Larry Beal in the studio with an update from a busy day in college football, plus Chris, Lee, and Kirk on location in Pasadena, California. And they'll wrap up today's overtime game between Oregon and UCLA. That game, of course, was at the Rose Bowl. So next Saturday night, we will be at Grant Field in Atlanta, Georgia, as Georgia Tech plays host to the Florida State Seminoles in what is now shaping up to be a really good tussle. Timeout called by Michigan as the clock is stopped at 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Gary Barnett's ball club, I mean, his coaching staff, after this one tonight, they have to go and start looking at footage, and they have the #1 team in the nation coming in next week. As you look at the remaining schedule, first of all, for Michigan, Indiana, I'm sorry.
Well, when you talked to the players the other day, you kept asking them about Ohio State. You said, you know, you're in a position where if you win all your games, and everyone to a man would say, hey, we're worried about Northwestern. Then when we get by Northwestern, we'll worry about Indiana. But your point was well taken, because that ball game right there for Ohio State is going to be the big ball game. But what I see, Ron, and I may make some Michigan people mad tonight, but call it as I see it, Ohio State's a better football team than Michigan, and John Cooper and his football team has an excellent shot to run the table and beat this Michigan football team this year.
I was interested in watching that Ohio State game today, watching portions of it. The quote that they used to Coach Cooper when he was asked, he said, yeah, we think about Michigan. I hope they're thinking about Michigan every week.
Well,
I guess when you're 1-8-1 against the club, you have them in the back of your mind.
That's the big ball game for both these coaches, just like Auburn, Alabama, Florida State, Florida, all of them. Michigan, Ohio State is special.
Well, they stretch this play out, and it's going to be a 3rd down. Clock will continue to run, as we mentioned. Northwestern cannot stop the clock.
And you go back, I think we've all talked about the job Bill Snyder's done at Kansas State, and that Gary Barnett's done here at Northwestern, and that John Cooper, for some reason, gets overlooked the job he's done at Ohio State with his staff, because they just continually lose players to the NFL and keep winning. And they've got a football tradition-rich program, Ohio State. Gary Barnett took over a program here that hasn't won, and well-coached football team.
Well, there's movement up front, and that's going to gain them 5 yards. That was going to be tough to pick up. Dyer jumped across, made contact, unless he was drawn off. And instead of a 3rd down and about 7.5 yards, they're going to have 3rd down and about 2.5 yards.
Dead ball. Offside. Adios. Not the defense. Excuse me.
These officials have done a nice job
I was just going to say, well-officiated football game.
I'll tell you what, you'd have to deal with what they've had to deal with tonight. It's
picked up a little dirt right there, too. I was going to say, they haven't lost their footing all night.
Well, we haven't watched them that closely, right? No, they have, though. They have done an extremely nice job with this one.
People will be buying those referees shoes. Adrian need a pair of those.
Minute and a half left. 3rd down, Vargas, and by golly, I think he got it. I think he got it.
He has played some football game tonight. There's a new sheriff in town in Michigan right now, Justin Vargas.
You know, he's effortless also. That first step is extremely quick. And then he doesn't necessarily have to give you a major move, but he really can give you a hip and keep on going.
When you look back at his career 4 or 5 years from now, you're going to he developed in this ball game. This is his game. His coming out party as a Michigan running back.
Well, let's stretch it out. As you've seen, the ball's in a little valley there.
Well, Michigan may win this football game, Ron, but it hadn't been easy.
No.
And they have a lot of respect for this Northwestern football team. In Northwestern, when you look at Gary Barnett, and you talked about at the Open, people say, you know, well, are they slipping back? But I don't think that's the case. They've had 3 good recruiting years. They're young. They've had a lot of injuries. They had 5 starters back on offense. They lost 4 of them as the season progressed. So they're a very young football team playing with a lot of injuries, and they'll be back, and they'll be back in the Big Ten picture. Maybe not this year, but next year you'll see them back.
They got some good-looking young skilled people that you didn't necessarily get to see a bunch of tonight because of conditions. Brady goes down on the knee. Northwestern can't do anything about this. They probably should have to snap the ball one more time.
Has it quit raining?
Well, yeah, I mean, the game's over. Why not? That's the major plan, so you can get to the car drive, Mike.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Rained the whole game, not quits in the last minute. Tom Brady, another good ball game by him. Drew Henson, the heralded freshman, they played him in the series of plays at Syracuse, and a lot of people were calling for Drew Henson, but I think this is Tom Brady's football team the rest of the year.
Northwestern trying to cause a turnover, and now they can do nothing about it. 11 seconds, down to 10. And the Michigan Wolverines are going to stay perfect in the Big Ten Conference with a victory over Northwestern in a rainy, stormy night here from Ryan Field in Evanston, Illinois. So our final score, Michigan 12 and Northwestern 6. Stay tuned for Residence Inn College Game Night coming up next. And join us next Saturday for Saturday Primetime. Florida State heads to Atlanta to meet Georgia Tech, 7 o'clock Eastern. For Mike Gottfried, Adrian Karsten, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Ron Franklin. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now, once again, here's Larry Beal.
Thanks, Ron. Let's get right to it.